Shimmer had to hypnotize his son to get him to stop wetting the bed. Calculator core. He'd probably know more about the periodic table than he would about his own family. Sky Shredder. He'd be one of those dads that's just so upbeat that he just isn't able to understand bad news. Like you'd tell him about something bad that happened to you and it would just pass right through him. Scream Machine. Average dad when telling you that dinner's on. Conclusion. Oh, I see how it is. You thought that you could copy Climax and get me to say something unique about you? Yeah, nice try, Chud. Not happening. Renovant. He likes Skibidi Toilet even more than his son does. Crimson Planet. The healthiest meal his family has ever had is a Diet Coke. Wide Step. Instead of teaching his son to walk, he just lets him ride the Roomba. Cold Sweat. Every Tuesday he has a new midlife crisis. Super Hate Me World. James Charles origin story. Whatever the fuck this is, he wouldn't even read his son's suicide note. Thinking Space. He'd be the reason for his son's suicide note. Lotus Flower. I hear he's really good at multitasking. For example, giving his kids a ride to school and downing a bottle of vodka. Promethean. Intimidating music plays whenever he enters the room. Crackhead Circles. Has a certain bad habit. Frost Spirit. He'd probably spend more time playing on Roblox than he does playing with his own children. Fragile. He'd be the type of dad to break down crying whenever his son gets an A-. Curies. He used to serve in Iraq, and given how annoying his son is, he probably wishes he never left. Dry Out Copyable 2. Probably gets naming advice from Elon Musk. Nutra. I really don't think it matters how Nutra would be like as a dad. Given how bad his son's ADHD would be, there's no way that he can compete with YouTube Shorts. Destruction 19. His first son got him banned from the adoption center. Kinos. Would probably be way too loud and would yell at you over the most minor things. Essafera. Oh god, he'd be like the most boring dad ever. Probably lives in North Carolina. Hard Machine. Would blow his family's life savings on scratch-off tickets. Zodiac. Would be eternally hungover. The Paroxysm of Rage. Man, his wife is really clumsy. For some reason, she walks into a door like every week. Critical Heat. It'd be that one family that moves to Arizona just to die of heat stroke. Aerial Gleam. Never gave up on his childhood dream of being a NASCAR driver. In fact, he takes the opportunity to practice every time he gives his kids a ride to school. True Effect. Was disappointed when his daughter turned out to be different from his Gacha Life character. Climax. He is no addict. Why? Every Friday he quit smoking for the last time. Terminal Rampancy. Son's first words were, "Is it too late for an abortion?" Shiketsu. God, he'd be that one parent that just raises his son to be non-binary. Network. He bought his son an iPad at like 1 so he didn't have to parent him. Delta. He'd be that one dad who tries to be the fun uncle who's hip and cool with the kids, but fails miserably and everyone hates him. Atomic Cannon MK3. Was playing poker before he was toilet trained. Verdant Landscape. I think he'd be a pretty cool dad. Would probably have a great music taste as well. The Golden. Would look nothing like his Tinder profile. Oblivion. He'd be that one parent that just doesn't notice when his kid hasn't been in school for 3 weeks. Jigsaw. Boy, I'm sure he'd be fun at parent-teacher conferences. Tartarus. Okay, this level is way, way too high to be having kids. Somebody call human resources. Midnight. His entire personality would be that he stays up until 6 a.m. Damascus. He'd be that one guy at the family reunion who tells those stories that go on and on and on and nobody cares about. Syrinx Never Clear. You've tried the rest, now try incest. Sonic Wave Infinity. He'd be that one dad that just tries to live vicariously through his son and would make him an exact copy of what he was like when he was a kid. Sinister Silence. Every time that you talk to him, you wish that he'd actually live up to his name. Arcturus. Spend all day nitpicking movie trailers, but would never go to actually watch the fucking movies. Psychopath. He'd probably lobby the PTA to get the school day extended. Deadlier Clubstep. Fee. Fi. Fo. Fum. I smell the blood of an emo son. Unknown. I didn't know that Zeronium's dad was on this list. Walter White. I think there would be like this one show that he likes a lot, but I don't remember. Combustion. He often gets the real world confused with Doom Eternal, which is fine most of the time. Well, except for that one time when he accidentally shot his son's girlfriend. He thought she was a demon. Mayhem. He would wake his son up at 4:30 a.m. every day to remind him that discipline equals freedom, codependence. He would tell his wife that it's empowering for her to be the breadwinner and earn all the money for the family. But in reality, we all know that he just wants to stay at home and do nothing. Edge of Destiny. No, 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 no. I know what you're thinking, and I will not make that joke. This channel has not fallen that far. The Hallucination. Every Sunday he pretends to be blind to get out of going to church. Belladonna. His kids used to have trouble falling asleep, but luckily, ever since he started talking, that hasn't been much of a problem. Solar Flare. Man, for some odd reason, ever since he got married, he's been really obsessed with going into space. Huh. Wonder why that could be. Eyes in the Water. Probably the only level on this list that can compete with Tartarus for the highest level on this list. Saul Goodman. Bart gets hit by a car. Pooh Cubed. He comes from a long line of femboys. His father before him was a femboy. His grandfather was a femboy. He is a femboy. And his son is subscribed to Wavix. Limbo. He can memorize the first 1,000 digits of pi, and yet he still forgets his wife's anniversary. Deimos. His son would be emo enough to talk about killing himself, but not emo enough to actually follow through with it. The Lightning Rod. He'd be the type of guy to set himself on fire just to prove to his kids a point about going to bed on time. Minus Dry. Oh god, he'd be a dad joke sweatshop. Would probably never teach his kids how to swim either. Bloodbath. Bloodbath? Wait, what? What the fuck? That level's not on the list. It hasn't been on the list in years. Who wrote this thing? Firework. On July 1st, 2021, he gave the world a celebration that it would never forget. Well, probably because it caused a massive forest fire. Codmock. Codmock is a man that can be summed up in two components. His undying love for his wife and family, and an unbreakable addiction to crystal meth. Sacupin Circles. He would have the most insane mood swings ever. Slaughterhouse. Well, on the bright side, he's been a miracle worker for the coffin industry. Tunnel of Despair. You know, despite the name, he actually used to be a pretty normal guy. Well, until we saw Kai Guy in the hospital bed. Huki. Okay, given how much of a weeb this level would be, I'd be surprised if it managed to become a dad in the first place. Abyss of Darkness. The brown part of the banana. Avernus. He would play the most epic music that you've ever heard just to tell you that you're adopted. Silent Clubstep. Okay, this level is way, way too old to be having kids. I mean, he would probably prepare his son to know what to do if Genghis Khan invaded. Acheron. Child support laws are his greatest enemy. Tidal wave. He'd be a great dad. Yeah, yeah, he'd be a great dad and everyone would love him. Please don't cancel me, Tidal Wave fanboy.